Hi, I'm Edwin Nieves.
I'm Jack.
You show loyalty, they learn loyalty. You show them it's about the work, it'll be about the work. You show them it's some other kind of game, then that's the game they'll play. Rest in peace, Lance Reddick.
Welcome back to the 950 Club. Today we have Jamaal with us
Yes,
to do his Jamaal catch-ups.
and I also have something to break to you guys.
Oh, breaking news from Jamaal.
This is breaking news.
What's going on, man?
I'm going to have a baby.
What?
Yeah.
Congratulations, sir.
Yeah.
Family man. Ooh.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
The first 950 baby.
The first 950 baby.
Breaking news.
Aw.
Congratulations, sir.
Yeah, I guess.
Wow. We're gonna have to call you Daddy Jamaal now.
Or Papi Jamaal. Jamaal Papi.
I'm not calling him that.
Don't call me Papi.
No.
Mm-mm.
Not happening.
No, I don't want you to either.
No. I'm a Spanish man. I'm not calling another man Papi.
Yeah, I don't want that either, Jack. but thank
My
you.
nephew, he's on a baseball team, and one of the teammates of his, they call him Big Papi.
Well, there you go.
He's a Big Papi.
Big Papi's all right. That's a baseball term.
No.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations, dude. That's awesome news, dude. Gender? Do we know the gender yet, or?
I don't want to know. No,
Okay.
this is brand new.
Oh, okay. So you're breaking news on the 950 Club. Huh?
Breaking news on the 950 Club.
Wow. I feel honored, dude. Thank you for sharing that.
I
here.
always come with surprises.
You do. This is a huge one.
Jamal's the infamous with the with the jump scares, with the surprise. Hey, well, let me throw you a dice.
The earthquakes. Yes.
That's my first surprise catch up of the day.
Wow.
The most surprising of the surprise catch-ups.
I know,
Mm.
right?
Yep,
Jeez.
yep.
Very surprising. I think you will make an awesome dad.
Yeah.
I hope so. I want to be like Lloyd.
Oh, he's the perfect daddy.
He's trying. He's trying.
He's trying.
He's trying.
He's got it down, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, he's getting there.
No.
He's
Yeah.
getting there. I like seeing that story unfold.
Very much so.
We miss you, Spy Family.
We do.
And that one's coming later this year too.
Yeah, I think it's a movie, right?
Yes.
The movie. The movies. Why just give us more episodes? It's like the
Well,
teases. The movies are such teases.
That's been like a weird thing this year. Like all of a sudden, movies. Oshinoko, the first episode, a freaking movie.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Oshinoko, the number one. I think that's my main theory.
It's a movie?
First episode is movie length, 90 minutes.
Oh, well, that's fine.
I know,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like an interesting way to premiere a season. And if people like the manga, that sneaks in all the details in the first volume. So that's pretty smart.
Yeah, I mean, shows do that. We see that with shows like fairly often. Like, especially if it's a streamer, they'll release like 2 or 3 episodes.
Good
Yeah.
call. I believe in Mandalorian, the first episode was like an hour, or no, like 90 minutes roughly.
I think it was like that for The Last of Us.
Yeah, as well. Good call. Very
I
good
think
call.
The Last of Us. the
Well,
first
did they do that
episode
for
was like
Andor?
90.
They showed the first 2 episodes.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think they debuted the first
I
couple.
do love that
Mhm.
first episode. I felt like a strict. You bought a movie ticket.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, piggybacking off of Andor. So our first discussion is going to be The Mandalorian.
Let's launch
Season
into the
3?
Mandalorian. Yeah, Mandalorian season 3.
Mandalorian season 3. Now, the first 2 seasons, Jamaal, Edwin, and yours truly, Jack, love this show.
Mm-hmm.
And we have no qualms. We don't dismiss it. It's one of those shows that we're genuinely excited about. And this new season, season 3, is Test of the Wills. Let's put it that way.
Well, like with a lot of other things, I was Jamaal convinced me. You guys convinced me to watch this, watch The Mandalorian, and once I got into it, like I was like, oh shit, yeah, this is old school Star Wars. Though I think that this season, watching the Book of Boba Fett and this season, it really felt like Filoni, that this was a continuation of the Clone Wars. His stories from the Clone Wars.
Surprisingly, I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I thought that, especially this season, I felt like there was a lot of he was trying to tie up a lot of loose ends from the Clone Wars and Rebels.
With Bo-Katan as the primary focus, I would argue.
Yeah. I don't know if there wasn't enough story for what he was trying to do. To me, this season felt really weird in a way that, like, Bo-Katan's story kind of took over the narrative, but then at the same time, it didn't. Like, I felt there was a lot of, like, filler for something that's like, all right, you're only doing 6 episodes of this. Why do we need an entire episode about a reformed scientist who isn't a reformed scientist, just so you can fry his brain, just so that people don't get a hold of his cloning technology?
That's one half of my qualm with this season.
Yeah.
I'm not like as big of a Star Wars fan as you guys, so I have a more casual approach to it. I think there was a lot of pushback on this season from the casual fans, because the casual fans just want to see like Pedro Pascal and Grogu.
Yeah.
And they kind of took a back seat in this season. This season kind of, for me, was like a setup for when Pedro Pascal is no longer doing the show. That's how I took this season.
Well,
because I felt they did a lot of world building and really brought like the other Mandalorians into it to set up for when Pedro's like, I'm too busy to do this anymore. You guys got to do it without me. And he'll just do like a little appearance here, a little appearance there. That's the impression that I got.
Yeah.
And I didn't really, I didn't mind it too much because there was a lot of interaction with Bo-Katan, with Grogu, and a lot of growth with Grogu, so he could kind of stand on his own a bit without Din Djarin. So I felt like this season they did a lot to build out the world a little bit and to set up life after Pedro Pascal.
Okay.
Which I don't think a lot of people's going to like, but
it's definitely an introduction. Like, we're done with Mando per se.
Well, I think that he was wrapping up 2 different stories. Now that this season actually, so apparently Grogu was with part of the growth that happened. Din Grogu was apparently with Luke Skywalker a lot longer than we thought.
Yeah. The transition from season 2 to season 3, that's another quarter of the qualm I have for this season.
Yeah, they don't really. Well, a lot of it happens like in another show.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff that happens off screen.
Yeah.
And there's things that happen in the Book of Boba Fett. And if you haven't seen the Book of Boba Fett, then
it's a must, at least for catching up with Mando season 3.
Yeah. So you're like, okay.
Yeah. And that was my thing, because I was trying to piece together, this layout for the first episode for season 3, because I was like, wait a second, Luke Skywalker at the end. Okay. Grogu had to learn the Force in a weird way from Luke, whatever Luke taught him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he taught him more about the Force.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he could do it a little bit, but he didn't. Like they showed him like use the Force slightly.
Yeah.
But he would like get gassed and pass out.
Yeah.
So like he went with Luke, and Luke kind of like off screen showed him things a while, and that's why we had the episode of him, the younglings, the foundlings, and he's like, all right, you can show him what you can do.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay.
He's like, all right.
He's like, all right. Yeah. You really want me to do this? Okay. So, that was, I could see how that could be off-putting, because there was a lot of off-screen stuff that they just didn't tell us.
Yeah.
Even with, because the show that premiered before this in Disney, I'm trying to think of like the order of things, because last year we have Obi-Wan and Andor. Was there a show in between there? Was it Bad Batch?
Bad
Bad
Batch
Batch
just wrapped up, I
Yeah,
think.
Okay.
Bad
Yeah.
Batch was continuous.
There you go.
Because they had like 18 episodes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Because I felt like there was a missing link there too. But Bad Batch is his own separate story anyway.
Well, it's still part of the Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's true.
It's its own separate thing. But I felt that there was a lot of story beats that were like in the Bad Batch. The Bad Batch finds a place where essentially they're safe and they don't need to they can just like leave the rest of the universe to itself.
Yeah.
But then they have to come to somebody's aid. I felt the same story beat, and then there's a lot about clones, obviously.
Yeah.
And the Empire and the Emperor using clones and what he's up to. And there was a lot of story beats in The Mandalorian where I'm like, okay, we have, Moff Gideon using the same thing.
The return of Moff Gideon. Spoilers if you haven't caught up already.
Yeah. And so he's got his own little clone objective involving the Force.
And that's part of also the jump from season 2 to season 3, because I don't remember how Moff Gideon exactly got captured. Was it like after Luke caught him?
No.
I mean, they had him and they turned him over to the New Republic.
Okay.
I mean,
That's how he got the Darksaber back.
Mhm.
Okay, because I was missing that because I didn't really care about the Darksaber in general. I felt like that was just some MacGuffin at the end of the day, at least for season 3. Season 2 is more important. Don't get me wrong, but it was one of those things where I felt like it was like, isn't he in jail? Like, we're done with Moff Gideon.
No, I
No.
mean,
I mean,
even at the end of 2, they kind of left it open. Like it wasn't like, all right, he's gone away.
No.
Like in a guy like that, you just know. And all throughout season 3, they're kind of leading you on like he's coming back.
Okay.
Especially with the girl.
Yeah.
That was reformed.
The spy.
You knew
Yeah.
that he was coming around, and I was waiting for him to come back.
Yeah.
Because Moff Gideon, like, first of all, Giancarlo Esposito automatically just ups the ante because he's such a phenomenal actor. And so once Moff Gideon comes back, you're like, all right, business is about to pick up.
Okay.
Business is about to pick up. But they left those breadcrumbs all throughout. And that Darksaber was a big thing for Bo-Katan's story.
Yes.
Because, like, I mean, you had the scene where Din gives her the saber. He's like, this doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
Because, his sect of the Mandalorians, they didn't care about a Darksaber.
She's the one that crosses over.
No.
But for her, in her sect, everything resided on that Darksaber.
Yeah.
So her losing that Darksaber to Moff Gideon was a big thing because she's like, look, man, I wanted to save our people, so I had to give in to him and give him the Darksaber. You can't trust Moff Gideon.
No.
But, she did it for the better of them. But so many people turned away from her because she gave up that Darksaber and gave that up.
Yeah.
So,
and then in season 2, that's where she gave it to Moff Gideon. I'm trying to remember. This is like a redive into season 2 as well.
No.
She,
Moff Gideon had it
the whole time. Okay.
and they had the fight, and Mando got it from Gideon.
Okay. Because I was thinking if there was like even an exchange in season, because she was introduced in season 2.
Because that happened off screen.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. There you go. And this has been my
That happened before. I would say that happened before the original trilogy.
Okay.
If you're going chronologically,
if you're going to the Attack of the Clones, Clone Wars.
Yeah, you'd have to go into the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
To cover that material. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Edwin said, like her story starts in the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to go through that to understand it. So it was interesting to see how the beginning of the season was like Din Djarin's redemption, and then it transitioned over to Bo-Katan's redemption.
Mm-hmm.
So they both had their redemptive arcs, and they both had to help each other redeem themselves because he couldn't have done it without her showing him where the waters of the
In the Mandalore.
what's the water, whatever the revival waters were,
The land of Mandalore, right?
Yeah, in the land of Mandalore, he had to go to the water and take a dive in there. And she was like, she's the only one that can get him there. And then she needed him to turn over that dark saber to have the fight, to turn over the dark saber to him, so that everybody else could accept her as the leader.
Well, you sent that article, and I talked to other people about this because I felt that the season dragged, because I think that there was, and I get the things that had to happen. She kind of had to be humbled in order to accept his sect.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I knew that had to happen, but I felt that episode where he goes to Mandalore and she has to rescue him, I felt that showed that. I'm like, all right, why isn't she just taking over now? Because I felt that obviously she was able to carry the weight of the darksaber way better than him.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was more effective with it. And that battle at the end, I don't think with Moff Gideon, I don't think that was like her
redemption, or
no, I think the destruction of the darksaber was supposed to mean that it's not necessary.
That's my initial feeling for it.
Yeah.
Thus, what I said earlier.
Yeah, like it wasn't like she could lead without it, because she
There you
had
go.
proven herself to be the leader of the Mandalorians that was necessary.
It's more like a symbol than anything.
It was, but that's why you needed to see her take that journey.
Yeah.
Because for her in the beginning, that darksaber was everything.
Yes.
And so you think, I get where you're coming from, where you're just like, where she had to save him, and that was enough for her. But it's like,
well, that was enough for me.
That was enough for you, but to the Mandalorians that turned their back on her, like what was his name? Wolves.
I know, yeah.
Like he wasn't going.
No.
He wasn't going. So it was important for her to see where Din Djarin's coming from, work with his sect, and then those scenes that she had with the armorer was very important for her.
Yeah.
So then it's like when she has to fight with wolves and she defeats him, and he's like, all right, here's the darksaber, because you saved my life, so you deserve this. And then she gets it, and it's like, all right, I got everything I want. When Gideon destroys it, it was like, all right, you got her, and then you got Din Djarin over here, and then you have Grogu over here, and they're all working together, and it's like, all right, it's symbolic of all of them coming together, and hey, we don't need this symbol of the darksaber. We're united again. We're going to rise and all that. So I got it. It didn't bother me, but I could see where some people would have issues with it. It didn't bother me.
No. I just felt that you could have done this in maybe 4 episodes instead of 6.
And there's the other qualm.
Yeah.
The ultimate qualm, the more I think about it. The layout of this season, because we're big fans of Andor. I consider Andor my favorite Star Wars Disney Plus series, even better than Mando.
I think that ran a little bit long too.
Well, yeah, and don't get me wrong, it is still going on. Andor season 2 could be a pile of crap for all I know. It could.
I hope not.
I know, but the layout or the season is not good. You brought up the example with the reformed scientist.
Yeah, that did not need to be an entire episode.
Yes.
It didn't need to be an entire
And how they set it up is that it was a little side adventure, or important side adventure with Mando in Bo-Katan. It started with that in the episode, then ended that with the episode. But right in the middle is the reformed scientist. Doesn't make sense to me. You introduce the scientist in the first episode. You have a theme for the show. The clones are important, because I felt like that was, like you mentioned earlier with tying loose ends, that becomes noticeable. And that's usually like, oh, I see what you're doing. You're trying to make a new season out of nothing. So
yeah, that was one thing that was a bit of a detraction for me.
yes.
Because they didn't connect that until the end when Moff Gideon's like talking about his clones.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, why am I having this whole thing with the scientist? And it's like, okay, is this setting up to like show the spy as an operative, or like I don't understand why we needed all of that early. That either needs to happen right before the Gideon clone reveal,
Correct, yes,
or something, but like they made a whole episode of breadcrumb, which wasn't necessary.
yes.
No, I
yes.
didn't think so either.
Yes.
I felt that I don't think that needed as much screen time
I agree.
as it did, because it's like I feel that was very much more in the vein of Andor.
Okay, yeah, especially when they're in the city and all that.
Yeah, well, I mean, not only that, but it's like taking that much time on a character who isn't that important
In the long
No.
scheme of things.
Yeah, in the
yes.
long scheme of things, and it's like Mando's not really a show that says things about the Star Wars
Correct.
universe,
Right.
Not
You
only
know-
the universe, not only the politics, not even the religion.
and that's one of the cool things about the show is
Yes.
like
Seasons
you can
1,
get
2.
yeah you can get into the escapism of Star Wars. It's fun.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it doesn't make you think, but it's like usually it's not trying to send a message about something bigger. And I felt that episode was kind of like, with the scientist's backstory, I felt that it was sending a message that was very similar to like something that you would have gotten out of Andor,
Yeah.
because he talks about where he came from. He talks about like his mother. He talks about like being able to change the galaxy for good, and of what he can bring to the New Republic. And then this chick fries his brain.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And you're not too sure, like, her side of things and how she got to this point too. And that's another future episode.
well, she's
No.
you didn't need to understand her at all.
That's the
really.
thing. I felt like
I mean,
I wasn't confused by her. I knew as soon as I saw that lady, I said, "Oh, I
She's
remember."
trouble.
Mole.
I remember her.
Okay, and you knew you already had mole vibes then. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, she tried to play it off like she was reformed, but like the way that lady was weaving in and out
Or
of the whole
synthesis,
thing, you're
yeah.
just like, "Oh no, this lady ain't reformed.
she's trouble.
She's
Yeah.
trouble.
I
She
mean-
knows exactly what she's doing."
Yeah, she was trouble. And
she was way too close to Gideon to be reformed that easily.
sometimes the way this show does things just kind of irks me. Like when the rebel pilot goes to Coruscant and asks for help, she was there, and she's kind of like trying to like use her influence. I'm like, okay, what are you doing there? Are you like the only spy in all of the Republic? Number one, and number two, how are you going from helping people acclimate in that program to this program? And then why are you there when like this guy's being reconditioned, and now you're there when people are requisitioning? It's like, this is the only person we have to be a spy.
Yeah.
So
And that's why I think it should have been the first episode, because it's paying off to the 8th and 9th or the 7th and 8th episode.
that's not. It doesn't matter where it would have come.
For me, it does though, because partially what I'm trying to get at is with Andor, like we discussed in our Andor catch up, they have directors for each arc. Each arc, the first 3 episodes, one director. The second arc, one director. The third arc, one director. So if you would have had the scientist early on, like let's just get that out of the way, make it shorter. Like it doesn't need to be a freaking like 40 out of 60-minute episode.
Well, the way it works in television is that the director doesn't have as much control as you think.
Yes.
It's the executive producers usually.
And writers too.
Yeah. So Filoni and the writers have way more control over when this stuff happens. What the directors have control of is more like the tone and the visuals, and how that's, the performances, like the performances that they're going to get out of the actors and stuff. But when it comes to the story and the structure of the story, and how either sophisticated or simplistic it is, that falls on the writers and the executive producers.
Okay.
So they're going to decide that. And I just felt that it was overly simplistic to have this person be, and kind of like a little too convenient
Yes.
Yeah.
to have the same characters. It's like, all right, we're going to use the same characters for everything. And it's like, okay, I get it. This is Din Djarin's, this is the Mandalorian's connection to the New Republic. So he might go through this guy. And he's the one who's out there. But at the same time, it's like, all right, now you're in the New Republic, and there's only one spy. There's only like, she's there too.
Yeah. But that's the fascinating thing about Andor, because John Favreau and I'm blanking on his name, clones.
Filoni.
They had the perfect idea, the perfect storm, especially the first 2 seasons. Newer directors handling the reins as each and every different episode. But ever since Andor, I've started to think like, okay, because we're done with season 2, the overall encompassing story of Grogu, what are we going to do for season 3? Is it going to be more about the universe, or is it going to be more about Mando? And I feel like that's a contrast too, because I didn't feel like season 3 was progressive for Mando at all.
Okay, we need to have this discussion, because you've said, I've heard this numerous times. How much of an impact did Andor have on people's perception of the Mandalorian? Because a lot of people that are upset with this season of the Mandalorian is weighing it against Andor. And those are 2 totally separate different things.
They are, and it's
like
weird.
I don't think it's fair.
No.
To pit the Mandalorian against Andor, because they're working 2 separate angles.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm totally not. I mean,
you're not.
Yeah.
You're not. But like, Jack has referred to Andor about 4 or 5 times in the last 10 minutes.
I know.
And
I think,
and it's not just you.
Yeah.
I've seen this a lot, and like, people love Andor so much and what it did. And from my standpoint, I think Andor is more for the Star Wars fan. I think that's more for the person that really wants to delve into the world. I think The Mandalorian is more for the casual fan. That's more for people that just want to sit down and watch a good show and watch Grogu eat stuff and walk with his little feet.
Yeah.
And they serve 2 different purposes. It's like you have these Oscar award-winning movies, and you got like this little independent movie over here, and then you have this big budget Marvel movie. Then the big budget Marvel movie never wins the big awards, right? But the little independent always wins. It's like those 2 separate things. Like, they're serving 2 different purposes. So I think it does a disservice to the Mandalorian when people bring up Andor and how it functioned.
But what Edwin brought up, though, is that somehow the planning was similar to Andor. That's the thing. And I feel like with this politics side of it, with the science side of it, with the religion side of it too, it's a weird contrast compared to the first 2 seasons.
What I had said was that there was a lot of similarities between the Bad Batch and the Mandalorian.
Okay.
Story-wise. When it comes to Andor, I think what you were trying to say is that what you were referencing is that how each 3-episode arc was directed by a different director.
Right.
And you felt that was why that they had more creative control.
That and the planning was a little bit better. Yeah.
Well, I think that's the showrunners. Like I said, how I cleared that up was that the showrunners, the executive producers, the writers have a little bit more control over how the story plays out than the directors do, and that's the way it works in television. Also, the editors.
Yes.
And I that's where, like, I think that here, that when we were talking about comparing the 2, but I agree with what you said. What you have is that you have the Mandalorian that has is more about adventure and heart than Andor. Andor is more about making you think about the consequences of what people are doing and what's actually happening. So there's more of a depth there in the storytelling. And there was still some points where I'm like, there's that one guy who keeps showing up. And I'm like, why is this guy still here? That police officer from the first arc.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this dude is like shoehorning himself into the Star Wars universe in like the creepiest way possible. And it's kind of like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of awesome. But Andor is more about making you think about the consequences of an army trying to hold, a free people, and what that looks like and what that does to people and their lives. That's not what The Mandalorian is about.
Correct.
The Mandalorian is about, okay, let's go on an adventure.
Have fun.
Let's wrap. Well, and then you have they're two different beasts as far as like what the stakes are. With Andor is a prequel to Rogue One.
Yes.
So that's the story that you're working on. And Rogue One was a very different beast from Star Wars to begin with.
It's all in separate universe.
It took a more serious tone and approach to the Star Wars universe, I think, than anything else had. So it was very, very different. Some people didn't like it. Some people didn't. One person said it was cute. They told me, "Oh, it's cute," and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
No.
Yeah, but going back to The Mandalorian, I thought that, like I said, it's mainly about, and especially this season, it's mainly about tying up the Mandalorian and Din Djarin's and Din Grogu's. It's about tying up their story,
Yeah.
getting their resolution, and it's about Bo-Katan getting her resolution from the Clone Wars. That arc about her restoring Mandalore. And I think that it was handled really, really well. I like what they did with it. My only complaint is that there was a few too many, like, I don't want to say unnecessary stops along the way, but there was definitely a lot of head scratchers this season.
That's what I mean. I feel like this season overall it had moments. It's fun. I like the ending.
I love seeing Lizzo and Jack Black and I'm blanking. Christopher Lloyd. I was like, these are the parts that you want them to play in this?
Fair.
It was tonally, it was like very like, what is going on?
Yeah.
There was a lot of this season where
I actually thought Lloyd did good.
He did great.
He was the best part of that episode.
I liked Lloyd.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. Like I loved. Yeah. Like I wanted him to be. I wanted him to be a villain, and he turned out to be a villain. Spoilers.
It's been spoiler heavy.
He turns out to be a villain. I wanted him to play a villain because he's really great when he plays a villain.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Right.
One of the greatest top 10 in my whole. I'm putting it on the stamp right now.
Yeah, he also plays one of my favorite Klingons in
yes,
Star Trek 3.
He's pretty good in that too. Yeah.
So I wanted him to be a villain, and I actually love his monologue and his throwback to Count Dooku and how he said Count Dooku was a visionary. I'm like,
this guy's a nut.
I'm like, this guy's a nut, but this is like deep cut Star Wars, man.
Yeah.
And like, so that was a lot of fun, but it still left it as a like, I just had a heart, like, it was still like a head scratcher, like,
yeah,
what? Yeah. Though I did love the scene when they're in the like the morgue for the androids, for the droids.
Oh, yeah.
And that probe droid just goes insane.
Yes.
Like, that was a fun scene. That was a fun scene.
I think, again, like you said, The Mandalorian is about the adventures that they go on and the relationship between Din Djarin and Grogu.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the show is. That's the basis of this show.
And that's what people want.
That's what people want.
Mm-hmm.
And to Jack's point, I think this season they tried to add a little more to it.
Correct. Yeah. Yes.
But for me, from just my thinking, I felt that was because they know they're not going to have Pedro for long. So they're like, if we want to keep this show going and we're not going to have Pedro, we got to do something.
You're right. Yes.
So that's why I think they were trying to build up the world, and they did a little more world building.
Well, that leads to this question: is there going to be a Bo-Katan series?
No, it's just going to be the Mandalorian, but she could be the focus of it.
That's the thing. That's why I was thrown off a little bit too.
I mean,
and that's the weird part though, because they have literally created two pathways for this show to go. You can decide which Mandalorian you want to follow.
Exactly.
Pedro Pascal's or Katie Sackhoff's.
Literally, like the guilds too.
And it's like I know that they're going to give him a movie essentially to tie up, to essentially resolve his
overall. Yeah, he's getting old.
to finally, essentially, after all this time of going through entire episodes and series, the Clone Wars, and I will call this the Clone Wars because that's his baby.
Yes.
This is just an extension. All of these shows are just an extension of the Clone Wars.
And they announced a movie with him, and is that gonna be like?
Well, Christopher Filoni is. That's gonna be his movie.
Okay, not Mando, but the Clone Wars.
No, well, it's gonna be. They're giving him a movie to finally end the Clone Wars.
Okay, gotcha.
That narrative that started and I mean, yeah,
over 20 years ago.
Yeah. Almost. Jeez, was it 2008?
Oh no, I thought it was like 2002, 2003
when the Clone Wars movie came out.
Well, yeah. No, okay. Clone Wars movie. Yeah, 2002, 2003, and I think the cartoon was like right after that, just before the third movie, Revenge of the Sith.
Clone Wars movie was 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Clone Wars movie. Oh, do you mean the movie for the Clone Wars animated series?
Yeah.
There, that's the ticket.
I think they did a lot to give themselves different avenues to go to whenever Pedro is like, I can't do this anymore. It becomes a guest star. I liked Paz Vizsla's little mini arc.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked his little mini. He had a nice little mini arc there. Axel Wolves, I think, stood out. I think you could do something with them.
Yeah. I felt like the exiled Mandos are pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I think there's plenty of space for this to continue. People love that relationship between Din Djarin and Grogu, but I think as long as you have Grogu in The Mandalorian, it'll be fine.
He has his own robot, and he's coming.
He has his
packing
own
heat.
robot. Oh, that was so beautiful.
That was hilarious.
That was so
yeah.
But back to like that first episode, because that threw me off too. Because I'm like, okay, is it going to be about the robot? Like, okay, guys, let's retrack a little bit. Because they needed the robot to go to Mando, right?
Yeah, because they needed to see, because the rumor was that it was uninhabitable.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
So they needed the robot to go down because they wouldn't be able to go down without the robot being able to see how the air is.
Yeah, and Bo-Katan corrected him. Yes, gotcha.
And Bo-Katan corrected him.
Right.
Yeah, so, but that's why he wanted a robot that he could trust, and that's why he went to find that robot that they had that big battle in with was that Boba Fett?
Season 8 or last episode of season 1.
Yeah,
it was the last episode of season 1.
Yep, directed by the guy who did Thor Ragnarok, the voice of the robot too. I keep on forgetting his name, but it's Kiwi.
Oh, Tiki Watiki.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how you say it.
The director of Jojo Rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh man, that dude is awesome.
He has good movies. He has a couple other ones.
That when he delivers that Hitler speech, oh my god.
Yeah.
That was just terrifying.
Have you seen it yet, Jamaal?
What?
Jojo Rabbit?
No.
Really?
I think you'd like it.
No.
Wow.
Not at all.
You watch that movie. I mean, wow, dude. I've seen that movie 3 times.
Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah. It's a tremendous movie. I mean, it's I can't wow, dude. Yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice by not watching Jojo Rabbit. I mean, it's just
It's a dramedy.
Fuck, yeah. That movie is
Is there anybody from The Wire in it?
This is 1940s Germany.
Scarlett Johansson's in it.
It's one of her best ones. I give her that.
Oh, that was a heartbreaking performance.
No.
Yeah, it's a sad movie, but it's a reaffirming movie too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
But back to Star Wars. Any closing thoughts on Mando?
You know, I thought that, like, while I have my complaints about this season, it was still a lot of fun. There was a lot of great moments where I'm like, I'm gonna remember that. My favorite still has to be Grogu walking around in that IG-88.
Yes.
Yes.
No. Yes.
Yeah.
No.
That was so great.
That was like they kind of like redeemed themselves, like, for all of the getting weighed down and like all this other stuff. Though that by itself kind of redeemed like the whole. Like him walking up to the food stalls, just like, I'm gonna chow down.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, yes. Oh man, that right there just kind of like, yeah, okay.
And that's what I was hoping for and waiting for, because the first episode, like I said, the first 3 episodes technically, where we're going with this, then it smooths out around 4 or 5.
Yeah,
roughly.
And then that battle with the Praetorian guards.
Like, ironically, Bo-Katan's focus became more noticeable. Like, okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you get enough Grogu moments where you're like
just
happy.
Enough. Just there, even more so than the first 2 seasons, I would argue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially that last, like, knowing that he's proficient enough in the Force.
Yes.
To at least stay away from the Praetorian, to avoid the Praetorian guards long enough to be rescued.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome.
That was great.
And I thought that they really pulled that scene off. Like, I was worried, like, how are you going to pull this off? It's a doll.
Yeah.
But I thought they did a really good job of making that fight, that holding, like he was in a holding pattern until he could be like, I need help.
Yeah.
I can't take on these guys by myself.
Precisely.
But I thought that they did a good enough job to make it believable, where I'm like, okay, I can see this, like, this works for me. This is believable. And I thought that, I'm like, this is pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we didn't touch on Grief Karga. In his little slice of planet that he's taken over. Like, it was good to see that.
Yeah, that was.
That was really nice to see that he had his own little, like, freedom town.
The hangout.
Yeah, well, because, in the first couple seasons, we see him and he's, like, passing out assignments, and him and Din Djarin had their
making
little
things
thing.
work, yeah.
But, like, it was nice to see that he's like, look, I'm not in that anymore. I have this town. I'm trying to keep it free from everybody. And, hey, we need help.
It was a natural progression. I like arcs like that.
It was nice to see that, and they didn't harp too much on it, but they kept coming back to it. Yeah. They kept coming back to it, and he's like, look, you all always have a place here. And it was nice to see him like, here.
Yeah.
You have this little place over here. If you ever just need to hang out, it's over here. It's for you. And so it was nice to see that, and to kind of tie in that story, because they always had that little, like, we're frenemies type relationship.
Yeah.
But, like, it really solidified in this season, like, all right, we got each other's back.
Yeah. And speaking of Carl Weathers, the one he directed, that's actually my favorite episode. It's the flashback episode of Grogu, when he sees himself in the,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
When
that's when the show finally was like, okay, we're back to the source. Like, one half Mando figuring out where his place with the Grogu is, and then Grogu having some more revelations. So it was nice. There you go. We're back.
They had to tie in that story, because they left the previous season where it's just like you're exiled from the Mandalorians.
Yeah, and
so they took the first couple episodes to tie that in together,
and Bo-Katan as well. Yeah.
So like, to your case, this season did have many arcs to me. Well, after I think about it, because I'm like, when I first saw it, I figured his, like, redemption story was going to be, like, the theme of the season, and they tied that up in a couple episodes. So, like, it was interesting. Like, after you say that, I'm thinking back on it, and I'm like, oh, this season did have, like, their little mini arcs. They had his redemption, Bo-Katan's redemption. They had the Paz Vizsla stuff. They had the Moff Gideon stuff at the end. The only thing that really didn't connect was, like, the scientist with that weird lady spy thing.
The layout, essentially.
That was the only. It was like I said, it was just a big bread. It was a big breadcrumb that was
unnecessarily long. Yeah,
that was my biggest.
And they could easily, like, broken it like quarters for the first 3 episodes or so.
Well, I think it was the biggest, like, head scratcher for me of them all.
My problem too.
Because it's like, all right, we know you're going to bring back Moff Gideon.
Just bring him back.
Yeah.
Just bring him back. And I thought they brought him back a little too late.
Yeah. And that
I thought they brought him back a little too late. And that's
when I was like,
No.
Well, because I think they wanted the surprise element, but no one was surprised.
There was no surprise.
No.
It was no surprise.
That gives the question mark.
Because-
Okay, was he really captured? Like crap like that?
And that's the thing, when you talk about world building, they introduced like that pirate captain
Yes.
to be the big bad.
Yeah.
And they kind of like tear him down.
For one episode, yeah.
He's like, you're gone.
Mhm.
But that's the thing that makes me worry about the future of not only, and I kind of see this with their announcements for all these new movies, where it's like they're trying to move away. I think you might see fewer Star Wars shows going forward after the Filoni verse wraps up.
Yes, and plus in general, like Disney Plus, like what?
So I do
what
want
are
to
they
say
doing?
that as a Rocketeer fan, watching all the Mandalorians like fly down into the cave
Finale is great.
while all of the Imperial Mandalorians go flying up.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Now-
and then just
yeah.
watching them fight in the air,
Yeah.
I thought like this is what those jetpacks were meant for.
Yes.
And that was like, that was a real thrill to watch.
Not only Rocketeer, but also a callback Flash Gordon. Like I always felt like the Flash Gordon like ethos needed to be snuck in somehow, and this was it. This fight alone. Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that because it's definitely like future utopia. Like everybody has a jetpack,
Especially
like,
also with Moff Gideon too, like that closing, like the collusion with the rocket ship going or the big ship going to the lava.
that was insane, man. That was crazy.
Jamaal, a little backstory. Jamaal, I remember when he was ordering books and he ordered the Mandalorian season 1 picture art book, one of the best books to look at. And that scene alone was like they designed just like the concept art. That scene alone, perfect.
That was a great fight scene.
Yeah.
That was a ton of fun.
Yeah, that was epic Star Wars. That was like on another level. That by itself is like
We're back to it.
Yeah, it was like it's like it's those kind of scenes, it's those kind of moments where it's like you want more and you're just like they get it. They're like, this is what we want. We don't want rehashes of like, I'm not gonna
Okay, we'll move on. We'll move on. Because Mando A-okay at the end of the day. Or season 3.
All right, so what would you give like out of 10, what's your overall score of this season of The Mandalorian?
For this season, I'll give it a 7.
Me too.
I give it a 7.5.
Almost a home run, yeah.
I give it a 7.5. I thought it was a good season. Yeah, I just take it separately. I don't want to.
I thought that it had a lot of good content. I thought that it had a lot of things that made like I enjoyed I enjoyed the big monsters. I enjoyed the action set pieces. I liked the redemption arcs. I thought that some of it was a little bit padded and some of it was a little bit clunky. But beyond that, I think that it really delivered on The Mandalorian. It delivered on that fun and heart. It gave you scenes where it's like, this is why I love Star Wars. This is why I love The Mandalorian. So you got all that. There was a few issues along the way, but I think overall it was another strong season that just dragged a little bit.
I didn't think it dragged. That's the thing for me, though. It's because of those first 3 episodes are like, unfamiliar territory. So it's like, let's bring it back.
Yeah, I didn't think it dragged either. I thought it was. There were, like, as we've spoken of, there were a couple of things that was like, well, why did you do that? But it didn't drag. There was not an episode where I was like, oh, good, now I'm going to sleep. This is taking too long.
Well, the scientist one was
it wasn't like watching the Cowboy Bebop live action where 45 minutes felt like 2 hours. Like everything was pretty well paced.
Trauma.
There were a couple episodes where I'm like, yeah, okay. And there were a couple episodes where I'm like, I wish I had a little more. But overall, I thought it was a good season. We'll see where we go from here. I don't think they're stopping it anytime soon. The merch on this show is crazy.
It is crazy.
So
is Edwin going to get the Grogu with the robot?
Yes. I want that figure. I want that figure now.
Bo-Katan, like if you get like a Bo-Katan figure, that'd be pretty badass.
I'm thinking
too.
about getting a Bo-Katan helmet, man.
Yeah.
The Black Series has a
and
really nice.
I forgot to mention this. The armor was pretty cool this season too.
The armor was very important this season.
Yeah.
She was very, very
Well, she's
important.
the only reason why they're all together.
Yes.
I mean,
Technically.
technically, I mean, if it weren't for the armor, none of this would have happened. It's her denouncement of Din Djarin in the first place
Exactly.
that set him on this path. If she hadn't, said, "Hey, dude, you revealed your face. You can't be that. That's not the way." If she hadn't sent him down the path of restoring his honor by bathing in the waters, none of this would have happened.
Yeah, and Bo-Katan's redemption too. Yeah.
And what's going to come of that?
And the
thing
unification.
in the waters?
Huh?
What's going to come of the thing in the waters? The creature.
Yeah, that part threw me off too.
Well,
because,
it's just representing what she had said. It's a new age for Mandalore.
Right.
because Bo-Katan saw it and
Right.
Din didn't see it.
But we did see, like, at the end, like,
Well,
it
she's
opened
the
up his
one.
eye.
She's the one that Bo-Katan saw it because she was the one that needed to see it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Din Djarin didn't need to see it. His faith was intact.
His story,
Yeah,
almost concluding. Yes,
his faith in the way, his faith
it's
in the
been
code
there. Yeah,
was there. He didn't need to see it. He already had his faith. His faith in the creed hadn't been tested. Bo-Katan never really had it.
Right.
She had her love of Mandalore, but she didn't really she didn't give any credence to the lore or the myths of Mandalore. For her, it was just like procedural. Like, these are my duties. This is why I do this.
Because that's the family she came from.
Right. But like, her seeing the mythosaur kind of like gave her like a sense of purpose and clarity. Like, crap, this is real.
yeah.
Like, the thing that these people are worshiping, the thing that's the foundational myth of
She was straight.
yeah, like the thing that is the foundational myth of our essentially our nation is real. She was the one that needed to see it to restore her faith in Mandalore and her purpose in, she was essentially lost. And so this helped her find her way.
There you go. Well said.
Cool.
Alrighty. Thank you for listening in for this Star Wars catch-up with Mandalorian Season 3. Along the way, it's going to be Star Wars Visions Season 2.
Yeah.
We're probably,
Ahsoka.
Oh, yes.
Ahsoka's coming.
Yeah.
And I think they're probably going to do something with, what's the character's name? Carson Teva?
Oh. Ooh. I thought I saw
I
something.
think they're going. I think he's going to replace what's her face, Gina Carano.
Oh,
That's the feeling I get.
okay.
Because they were going to do the series on her, but I think he's kind of like taking it. To me, it kind of seems like he's taking the place of her.
Well, they're going to have more Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah, they're going to have more Tales of the Jedi. I did see that.
That'll be interesting to see what they do with that.
Did we review Tales of the Jedi?
No.
we
I only saw the
haven't.
first episode. No.
Yeah, that's
Tales of the Jedi was good.
watch that. That's really
Yeah,
It was really good.
It was the Ahsoka episode. That was good.
A, it's really, really short,
Yeah.
and B, it's really, really good.
Same spirit as Visions. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
I mean,
Well, that ties more into the Star Wars universe.
But the energy.
Yeah.
I meant
Yeah.
the energy. Yeah.
Well, definitely the energy's there. There's definitely that vibe of the art's a little bit different. The stories are a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I think as far as getting Count Dooku's perspective on the events of the Star Wars universe,
There you go. Oh, yeah.
that was very interesting. He's kind of like, it's in a weird way, Filoni has made him almost like this.
A cult that's following.
Well, yeah, like he's almost like this character that weaves through the Star Wars narrative in a way that is it's really weird.
Ingenious, too.
Well, because you get him in, so you get references to him. Well, Tales from the Jedi is pretty much the Ahsoka Count Dooku show.
yeah.
But then you get references to him in the Bad Batch. you get references to him in the Clone Wars.
In Mando season 3.
Yeah, and so well, obviously the Clone War, but Mando season 3. So he kind of like there's this weird narrative that weaves through all the Filoni stuff.
Did they reference him in Obi-Wan as well?
I'm not sure.
What's his name?
They might have.
Darth Maul was like rumored.
I feel like they mentioned him in Obi-Wan.
But a connection with Darth Maul, I think, if that plays out, if they do something that plays that out, because they're talking about Solo as well, because the Solo's Easter egg. There.
Well, they can't really do that because, well, I don't know because that happens in Rebels.
That too. Darth Maul, speaking of like old cult following, Darth Maul's another case. Jar Jar Binks, another case.
Well, Jar Jar, the actor that played Jar Jar Binks, made that guest appearance.
Yes, that was a good guest appearance. Yes.
And they're gonna they did mention Thrawn in this, so I think they're gonna move in that direction.
Yeah. I mean, well, I guess at the end of Rebels, him and Ezra Bridger kind of get lost in time through the Force. I haven't watched Rebels. I think I might have to now because
to tie it all together.
Well, I mean, yeah, at this point, because there's so many like Easter eggs spread throughout, whether it be the Mandalorian or the Bad Batch or like even Rogue One. I think there's
Rogue One and the King.
There's a Easter egg from Rebels in that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I might have to just sit down and watch Rebels.
I've been told by people that read the comics that there's some Easter eggs in reference to the comics in there as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, probably with the short story or the novel series too. Like Dark
There's so much material, man.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
In the video game universe, a Squadron and Shadows of the Empire.
Well, just the what is it? Was it the Boba Fett game? Or the Jango Fett game.
Jango Fett?
Bounty Hunter.
Bounty Hunter. Good call.
Yeah. Bounty Hunter by itself has a bunch of lore.
Good call.
Yeah. Like, whoa, okay. How did this guy become? How was he selected to be, the Mandalorian? That would be the ultimate, guy. Like, this guy's the guy we want to be the model for our clone army. Yeah. So that was interesting.
Thank you for listening in to another great 950 Club session with our review of The Mandalorian Season 3. We, the 950 Club, had a great time. And yes, it makes me personally excited for the rest of the year. Star Wars is a unique fandom because it's one of those fandoms that has grown, even with the trials and tribulations. And with Edwin's case, being a senior, he had to be really patient. Mandalorian was that show that brought him back, especially his love for the Star Wars universe. And with Jamaal as well, and discovering the new stuff. And yeah, even though he calls himself a casual fan, I consider him a strong fan of Star Wars. And for yours truly, Mandalorian Season 3 wasn't that bad at the end of the day. Of course, it didn't start off just right. A lot of people got angry early on with the season. I wasn't. Even with the stalled episodes and the tone of the season, it was one of those things where I felt like it'll be all right. And yeah, it paid off at the end. But nonetheless, we thank you for listening in to this episode. Please like and subscribe, download and share, and comments. Comments is a big thing nowadays. And hey, if you want to drop a quick comment, make sure you congratulate Jamaal on becoming a father. Yep, the first ever 950 Club baby. And we like to give a special shout out to Christina. We hope you're doing well with the baby. We hope that next 9 months will be safe and sound. And we love you, Christina. And good luck to Jamaal and Christina for the baby. Nonetheless, we thank you for listening in, and may the Force be with you always.